Can we check the environment properties in our Spring Boot application? Yes, we can access environment properties in Spring Boot via the environment interface. Inject the environment into a bin using a data-wide annotation and use the get property method to retrieve the properties. So example, you can see here we have an environment property. So we are annotating with a data-wide and we are getting a environment variables by using environment dot get property. Inside that we need to use a database dot URL. We are trying to get the URL of the database and we are printing that by using a SOP statement. How to enable debugging log in a Spring Boot application? To enable debugging logs in Spring Boot, we can set the logging level to debug in the application.properties or our YML file by adding a line such as logging.level.root equals to debug. This will provide detailed logging output useful for debugging purposes. Explain the need for DevTools dependency. The DevTools dependency in Spring Boot provides features that enhance the development experience. It enables automatic restarts of our application when code changes are detected, which is faster than restarting manually. It also offers additional development time. It checks to help us catch common mistakes early. How do you test a Spring Boot application? To test a Spring Boot application, we can use a different tools and annotations. For testing the whole application together, we use @Spring Boot test annotation. When we want to test just a part of our application like the web layer, we use @Web MVC test. If we are testing how our application interacts with the database, we use @Data JPA test. Tools like JUnit help us to check if things are working as expected, and Mockito lets us replace some parts with dummy versions to focus on what we are testing. What is the purpose of unit testing in software development? Unit testing is a way to check if small parts of a program work as they should. It helps to find mistakes early, making it easier to fix them and keep the program running smoothly. This makes the software more reliable and easier to update. How do JUnit and Mockito facilitate unit testing in Java projects? JUnit and Mockito are tools that help test small parts of Java programs. JUnit lets us check if parts of work right, while Mockito lets us create a fake versions of parts we are not testing. This way we can focus on testing one thing at a time. Explain the difference between @mock and @inject mocks in Mockito. In Mockito, @mock is used to create fake versions of an object to test it without using the real one. @inject mock is used to put this fake object into a class we are testing. This helps us see how our class works with the fakes, making sure everything fits together correctly. What is the role of @Spring Boot test annotation? @Spring Boot test annotation in Spring Boot is used for integration testing. It loads the entire application context to ensure that all the components of the application work together as expected. This is helpful for testing the application in an environment similar to the production setup, where all parts, that is like databases and internal services, are active, allowing developers to detect and fix integration issues early in the development process. How do you handle exceptions in Spring Boot application? I handles errors by creating a special class with @controller_advice or @rest_controller_advice. This class has methods marked with @exception_handler that deal with different types of errors. These methods helps make sure that when something goes wrong, my application responds in a helpful way, like sending a clear error messages or a specific error code. Explain the purpose of form.xml in a Maven project. The form.xml file in a Maven project is like a recipe that tells Maven how to build and manage the projects. It lists the dependencies like libraries and tools and instructions like where files are and how to put everything together. This helps Maven automatically handles tasks like building the project and adding the right libraries, making the developers' work easier. How auto configuration play an important role in Spring Boot application? Auto configuration in Spring Boot makes setting up applications easier by automatically setting up parts of the system. For example, if it sees that we have a database tool called, it will set up the database connection for us. This means we spend less time on setting up and more on creating the actual features of our application. Can we customize a specific auto configuration in Spring Boot? Yes, in Spring Boot we can customize specific auto configuration, although Spring Boot automatically sets up components based on our environment. We can override these settings in our application properties or a YML file, or by adding our own configuration file. So we can also use the controller annotation to include or exclude certain configurations under specific conditions. This flexibility allows us to tailor the auto configuration to better fit our application specific needs.